you're a home buyer, somebody or a young person looking to buy a home, you need a bit of a reset.
There is a possibility on the other side of this that inflation could actually be quite
Welcome
low.
back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is gonna be absolutely bonkers. Now, the data is in, and today we're gonna go over the astronomical eviction numbers and really dig into what's going on around the nation when it comes to evictions. Now, obviously, you guys, not all states and counties are acting the same when it comes to evictions. But regardless, there is an overwhelming amount of data coming out that is basically suggesting that evictions are exploding as a result of many things. One of those things being institutional investors and their stranglehold on rent. And actually, there's actually lawsuits going on right now from the DOJ that are suing these companies for keeping the rents propped up and elevated. And we're going to see what impacts that has been having on senior citizens and what impacts that's having on fraud. And then we'll end this video by taking a look at Eviction Lab and seeing what's going on in the states and cities that they're tracking. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, this is not over, not by a long shot. And remember, you guys, if you find any value in these videos, hit like. But most importantly, do me a favor, share with me your perspectives. If you know anybody that is going through the eviction process right now, please share this story in the comment section below and let us know exactly what's happening. And also, what's really important, tell us your metro area. I get so much great intel, but then when I go to see what metro area people are talking about, a lot of times people leave that off of their comment section. So please, if you're going to comment and give us some intel, we definitely appreciate it, but let us know what metro you're talking about. Let's jump into the first article. And this is going to go into the fact that institutional investors, despite what we hear, oh, they barely own any real estate. The problem is, you guys, is the real estate that they do own are in massive clusters in select areas. So they own a lot of real estate in select areas. The name of this article is Large Real Estate Investors Are Clogging the Court System, Evicting at Higher Rates. Again, institutional investors are evicting at a higher rate than normal investors. So how are institutional investors good for America? Let's read a little bit more about this. And this will be linked in my description if you want to read the whole article. I'm just reading a little bit in the middle of this article that I think is important. There was one of at least 250 evictions filed in Harris County last year by companies linked to Invitation Homes, a real estate investment firm with a significant footprint in the area's rental market. In Tampa Bay, investment firms control thousands of single-family rentals and are more aggressive in pursuing eviction cases. And so you guys are starting to hear they're not spread across the nation. They're going for affordable areas that have high migration, strong job markets, and they're taking affordable homes away from typical first-time homebuyers. This continues. Some companies file for evictions at double or triple the county's overall rate. That's institutional investors. Kick them out of our housing market. Triple or double. That's insane. Experts say nationwide, many large companies file systematically and often gratuitously using the process to extract additional fees from tenants. Housing advocates fear the practice is displacing vulnerable residents at a time when affordable rent is hard to come by. They just have an immense amount of leverage that organizes around poverty and economic issues. Says you have these companies that have big legal departments that can churn these cases out. So I want to know right now, you guys, I want you guys to comment right now. Do you think institutional investors should be banned from purchasing single-family residence? Let me know what you think. By all means, make apartments, right? Build apartments. But when you're taking the single-family residential homes that go to first-time home buyers, and then those same people that were going to be first-time home buyers go back to rent from you, and then you're being aggressive, you're raising rent, you're pushing evictions. Do y'all see the problem here? I say get them out of the market and ban them from being able to invest. And then we'll go on to the mid-size investors, which account for even more housing units. And look at the impact, guys. We're going to listen to a video from someone that has lived in their house, okay, for over 60 years. This is a senior citizen that can't even move. She's stuck in bed. And instead of the landlord renewing her lease, they're kicking her to the streets.
San Francisco apartment home for more than 8 decades. Helen Byrne is 94 years old and bedridden. But now her building has new owners, and Byrne and her neighbors are facing an eviction. Investigative reporter Hilda Gutierrez spoke with the tenants as they potentially face the last few weeks in their homes.
Helen's one wish, stay in the place she's called home since she was a kid. But the new owners say letting the rent control tenants stay isn't part of their business plan. After rejecting a buyout offer, the building's residents are rallying together to fight their new landlord in court. San Francisco's Mission District has changed a lot over the years, just not at this 4-unit apartment building on Cesar Chavez. It's been decades since a new tenant has moved in, and Helen Byrne's upstairs apartment is practically a time capsule.
When we first moved into here, I was 12 years old. I came with my father and my 2 sisters. And I've lived here all my life.
She still sleeps in her childhood bedroom. After suffering a fall last year, it's where she spends most of her time now. Helen outlived her parents and sisters and lives alone. A lifetime of memories preserved in the photos that fill the apartment.
I had my whole life practically right there on the wall.
And right now she's strong because this building, this apartment alone makes her feel that she's home.
Listen, guys, I understand that companies have to make a profit. I understand they have to make a money. But what about this lady? She lived in this house since she was 12 years old. She's about to get kicked out. She's in bed. Her entire life, almost basically her entire life, was lived there. You guys, the problem is as these corporations continue to try to make money off of us, they don't realize that there's families involved. There's children involved, husbands and wives, where people raise their children. You can't monopolize and profit off of that. You have to put those people in a situation to where, I don't know, man. I mean, they have pride in living there. I mean, let me ask you guys, what's the solution for her? What's the solution for that poor lady? Do you just kick her out in the street? Oh, sorry, you should have saved your money. Or, I mean, what can be done? I really want to know from you. We already know institutional investors are responsible for the increasing eviction rate, are responsible for the increase in prices. They're passing on their expenses to us. What can be done for people just like her? Now, when we look at the flip side of the coin, not only is this hurting innocent people, fraud and scammers are absolutely skyrocketing. Look at the fraud.
Now an 11 Alive investigation into professional tenants. And in this case, being a pro is not a compliment.
It means you're good at exploiting the system to avoid paying rent. And while investigator Rebecca Lindstrom says landlords may be out thousands of dollars, in the eyes of the law, it's rarely prosecuted as theft.
It is a crime, but it's hard to get police and prosecutors to pay attention. We started looking into this after a viewer reached out and he was saying finding affordable housing is tough, especially if your credit is not so good. But it is this kind of behavior that makes it even harder for someone who needs a landlord willing to give them a chance.
Ma'am,
have you paid rent? Have you paid rent?
You need to go. You're not supposed
have
to
you
be here.
paid
You need
rent?
to go.
It's an easy question. This woman refuses to answer.
She moved in June and we started the eviction process in August.
Why?
Non-payment.
Ever?
She paid her first reservation fee, which bounced. Then she paid the deposit, which again bounced after she had moved in.
Gary Lee owns a property management company, now trying to collect for one of 6 landlords Shatil rented from in Gwinnett County. Court records show in the past 2 years, none of the landlords got paid in full. And when the money stopped, the excuses began.
This is the unit here.
Kenny Luna and 2 other landlords say Shatil claimed she couldn't pay because of problems with identity theft.
She gave me a letter from her bank saying, we have your money, but we can't give it to you because you have fraud.
But landlords shared letters from banks they could never verify, and we discovered a notarized letter full of misinformation. But when we tried to ask Shatil about it,
What are you talking about?
Luna says what upsets him the most is that she's doing this with her 2 children.
I'm like, they're bouncing from house to house. That's not a way to live.
That's not a way to live. So on one hand, we have senior citizens that need to be helped. On the other hand, we have people that became professional at fraud. And these are mothers, these are fathers, these are people with children. I mean, you guys, this is how desperate people are to have a roof over their head. Now, I'll argue, find something that you can afford and stop committing fraud, because we end up paying for all of this fraud, right? If people just stop committing fraud and start helping people at the bottom that actually need the help instead of crooks taking that money, I think we would be in a better situation. But again, you guys, we have police that aren't even willing to enforce this type of fraud. What's going on in America? I'm freaking out over here. This is not the America that I was raised in. Americans help each other, right? Aren't we supposed to help our neighbors? This is insane. Now our neighbor is Invitation Homes. Now our neighbor is a guest from a short-term rental. The housing market right now, you guys, is out of control. And evictions, it's only just begun. We don't even have unhinged unemployment yet. We don't even have our recession yet. All of the stuff we're going over today, guys, make no mistake, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Now, what I want to do is let's go into Eviction Lab. Now, I want to make a point. This is a Princeton University data gathering website. I have people that complain. They're like, oh, Travis, it only tracks 10 states and 30 some cities, blah, 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 complain. But then I asked them, well, do you have any solutions there? Right? Unfortunately, you guys, there's not a lot of solutions when it comes to tracking evictions. So we're kind of at the mercy, unfortunately, of the data. And that is why we're using Eviction Lab. Now, so here's Eviction Lab. This is eviction filings by location. I kind of want to be fast here. And really what I want to keep our eyes pointed towards is related to pre-COVID averages. Okay. Now, this is just going over states, and not all states are in the same situation. But I will point out that Connecticut is now 5% over pre-COVID averages as a state for eviction. Now, obviously, Delaware is low. Indiana is basically at pre-COVID averages. Minnesota is plus 37. They are 37% as a state over evictions pre-COVID. That is huge. But when we go down here, Minnesota down 12%. How's that possible? New Mexico 8%. But look at Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is now over pre-COVID by 1%. Rhode Island 8%, you guys. Virginia 16%. We have Wisconsin plus 1. Albuquerque negative 12. But look at Austin, you guys. Austin is hurting badly. Austin, Texas is above 8% from pre-COVID averages. Now let's take a look at some of these Dallas metro areas a little bit more intimately. And when we look at Fort Worth, you guys can see that we're 36% above average in just 1 month. The filing rate is 124% of pre-COVID. Serial filing rate, 24%. Eviction filing rate, a whopping 11%. Fort Worth is getting absolutely demolished. That's not even the worst. Look at this, you guys. This is insane right here. Here's Gainesville, Florida, sitting at 159% of average, 165% in the last 1 month. This metro area is absolutely exploding. And if you guys want more info, you guys can see, you can go down here. You can look at eviction filing rate. There's many charts. You go to filing rate relative to average. You can see all of that. This is up 173% in this track. So this is a very interactive map if you kind of want to pinpoint exactly where the evictions are happening. Now look at my home city right here, you guys. Houston, Texas is out of control. We have massive eviction filings going on right now in Houston, sitting at 144% of average with a 10% eviction filing rate, 23% serial filing. Absolutely incredible stuff going on in Houston. And Houston's been suffering for quite some time. Now let's take a look at Las Vegas. Las Vegas, I'm the most worried about because obviously Las Vegas has one of the highest eviction filing rates in the nation, somehow sitting at 15% eviction filing rate. So that's 1.5 people out of 10 that are having to file evictions. That's crazy with a 37% filing rate. This is 155% of average. Las Vegas, you guys, is having a total meltdown. One big reason why they're in this situation to begin with is the overwhelming amount of Airbnbs that are in that area as well. But Las Vegas, keep your eyes on there because ain't no one can afford no rent there. And last but not least, let's take a look at Phoenix, Arizona, sitting at a whopping 132% of average. So all of that speculation going on in Phoenix right now, you might want to pump the brakes because locals and natives are starting to become delinquent and default on their rent payment, sitting at 132% of average. And that is skyrocketing upward month over month. It went up 141% with an eviction filing rate near Las Vegas, sitting at 14% eviction filing rate. So although there are some areas that are doing okay, probably because of moratoriums, we have other areas that are an absolute dumpster fire with evictions. And don't forget, evictions can hit your credit. If you have an eviction, it's now even harder to become a tenant. And that's probably why we see massive fraud skyrocketing. So let's end this, guys, by looking at one more video.
Tonight, dozens of renters in South suburban Country Club Hills are being kicked to the curb, they say, with no explanation.
The company that owns the homes is blaming the city, but now the mayor of Country Club Hills is saying, not so fast. CBS 2 investigator Megan Hickey has more on the controversy.
So we're living out of suitcases. Again, it's hard to get boxes because boxes are expensive. We had somebody donate those boxes.
After 8 years of happily renting her Country Club Hills home, Ebony Balfour got a surprise, incredibly generic email.
Dear valued resident.
Days before Christmas, saying her lease with First Key Homes would not be renewed and she needed to get out, with no explanation why.
Somebody could have been answering our calls and letting us know, giving us assistance if we need it. We were kind of just left dangling, like with nothing. A lot of us, nothing.
It happened as her young son, who suffers from sickle cell anemia, was having a medical emergency.
We're blessed to be able to still be mobile.
Mom of 7, Mina Smith, also got the email, and she also has health challenges that make an immediate relocation impossible.
I have primary progressive multiple sclerosis. You have to think about others when you're making decisions such as this, because you never know what's going on in somebody's life.
But that's not what they're doing. They are profiting off of American households that are in distress. They make more money the harder that you struggle. Think about that, you guys. They're profiting off of struggling families in America. And also understand this, a lot of these corporations, if they buy tract housing or a development full of rentals, they don't have to renew on you. I remember there is a 55 plus manufactured park in Southern California that a big investor purchased, but he did not allow them to renew their lease. He jacked their rent up double. He knew that the retired community couldn't afford double rent payments, and so they had to take their manufactured homes that they lived in for 30 years and they had to move away. Investors will do that if they know they can reestablish the facility in the area and have increased rent. They will kick you out. They will not renew to you, regardless if you're suffering, regardless if your family is sick, regardless if you need help. If they can profit more money, they don't care about you, because that is how this works. And so, you guys, overall, I understand you got to pay your bills. If you don't pay your bills, you're going to be evicted. I understand that. I understand the American way. But listen, some people simply cannot afford these increased rents. They just can't afford it. Look at teachers. Teachers can't even live where they're teaching. There is a massive problem right now in America. And so what do you do with this information? Well, if you wanted to invest in real estate, it may not be a good idea to be a landlord. If you wanted to purchase a house right now, well, take a cue from investors. They're not even investing right now. Evictions are shooting up right now. What we need right now is we need balance to come back to the housing market. One of the only ways that happens is people need to stop buying homes. And if you are going to buy a house, you got to make sure to use fundamentals and to get a great deal. If you're out buying houses right now and you're not getting a great deal, all of us pay. If you're using your emotions to buy houses, all of us pay. But if you're fighting, if you're willing and dealing, if you're grinding down the market, if you're a great realtor telling your people not to buy, you're doing a better job. We need that. And honestly, you guys, I don't know what the solution here is. I want to help the elderly lady. I want to help the people that are sick. I want to help those people. I don't want to help the fraudsters, but I want to help those people. But the fraudsters are ruining it for everyone. I mean, what's the solution here, you guys? I mean, the solution starts with us. I know that, but the inflation, the greed, the corruption, the fraud, it's making things hard. It's making things impossible for some families, and it's not fair. But anyways, guys, I'm interested to hear how you feel about the eviction crisis. What do you think a solution here is? But other than that, if you're out there investing in real estate, you guys already know I wish you luck, and I hope you win.